Hey guys, how's it going? Hope everybody's doing well during these difficult times. This is just a reminder video because I know it's been a while since we've talked, since all the craziness has happened. But this is just a reminder video on the things that we learned on how to hold the stick, the motion of the stick, things we're supposed to do, just in case anybody forgot. And I know we all have sticks at home, some of us even have drum pads, and we kind of want to get back to work. So this is just a review. I've got my concert sticks here, and I've got a drum pad right here. So again, starting from the bottom, we're going to create that T shape from the pad of the thumb all the way to the first joint of the index finger. Once you get that T shape, you're going to put the stick right in there, and the thumb is going to be on that Vic Firth logo. So you've got the T over the logo. That's step number one. And step number two, from there, we've all got that little love line right here, and the butt of the stick is it's going to rest more or less in that line. It's a little different for some people, but it's in this area. And then from there, while keeping that T, we wrap our fingers around and we make sure that the pads of your fingers are making contact with the stick. And now it's not necessarily just the pads. You have to wrap your fingers around. But if you overdo it, those pads are not really going to touch the stick. So fingers wrap around, figure out where your pads need to go. And then we've got the general shape. We've got this somewhat of a line of the nails, with the exception of the index finger. And you guys remember, we have our space right here that we call our windows. We always want to keep that space closed. Let me see if I can get this at a better angle. So when we're holding the stick, we got to make sure we keep our windows closed. And last but not least, the direction of the index and middle knuckle, we want them both to be facing the ceiling. The common tendency is for just the index to be facing the ceiling, so we kind of get this curve, but we want to keep this palm flat, and the best way to do it, or at least the best way I can describe it, is keeping the index and middle knuckle facing the ceiling. You don't want to do all of them. If you try to make them face, you're going to get this kind of like inverted angle, so we stick with those two knuckles. All right, so I'm going to adjust this for a bit. I've got my drum pad right here, but I do have neighbors, so I can't just play on the drum pad as is. So what I do is I put a towel on mine. I highly recommend it for you guys. Maybe your parents or your siblings or your neighbors may not quite enjoy percussion as much as you do, but I have found that a towel or even a pillow mutes the sound, and it's great for a room. It's great for practice time. So I'm going to move this back. Now that we understand the technique that we just built on our right hand, we translate it over to the left hand, and that's the shape, that's direction. And remember, we have our two positions. We have ready position and set position. Just a reminder, when we're at ready position, we want to make sure that we're figuring out, we're not so much fidgeting, but we're figuring out how the stick needs to feel and look. And then when we go to set position, that's all you do. You bend from the elbow, come up, but the technique's already set. We don't want to go to set position and we're still trying to figure it out, because by the time we're at set position, the show started. We're already going to play. All right. So we've got that. And on to the next section, this motion of the stick moving up and down. So just a reminder, the very first thing that we want to think about moving is going to be the bead of the stick. All right, we want the bead to travel first and then everything else. The common problem that people run into is they start with the wrist and then the bead, and we get this wavy motion. And I don't want to say it's wrong. There is a name for that technique. It's called Moeller technique, but that's not exactly what we're trying to do right here. And this is a kind of an advanced technique. So we want the bead to travel first. We want the motion to be initiated from the wrist. And as we get a little higher, that space between your fingers and the stick, they're going to open up just a little bit. We're not going to do this because we want those fingertips to still be touching the stick. But depending on how high your stick goes, the space will open up just a little bit. All right. So I'm at set position. I've got my windows closed, my palms flat, my index and middle knuckles facing the ceiling. And we do think about that up-down motion, up-down stroke, and it'll able to help with that. I've got my trusty metronome on my super cool iPad that Mr. H sold me a couple months ago. And I've got it at quarter note equals 80 beats per minute. Hopefully you guys can hear that. Can't keep it too loud, don't want to disturb my neighbors. So I'm here at set, and I'm already tapping my foot up, down, up, down, up, down. And the same thing with the stick. We're gonna do one note for every 4 beats. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2, 3, 4, up, down. Think about the technique in your fingers. Down, 2, 3, 4, up, down. Now switch to the left hand, go up, down, very good, and 3 and 4, up, down. Keep your windows closed, and up, down. Think about your knuckles, and up, down. Back to right hand, 2 notes, go up, down, 3, 4, up, down, think about your beats, up, down, 3, 4, up, down, switch the left hand, go up, down, 3, 4, up, down, 3, 4, up, down, 3, 4, up, down. Now the right hand, 3 notes, down, 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 up, down. Now switch up, down, 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 down. Here we go. Up, down, and down. Now switch. Down, down. 4 notes. 3 and 4. Up, down, 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 down. And here we go. Left hand ready. Switch. Up, down, 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 down. Make sure your foot is still going. They are connected. And switch to the right hand and stop right here. Up, down, and down. Very nice. Very cool. And it's an entire process, just like we've talked about. When you're doing these exercises, the longer you go, the more you might want to check out, the more you might want to start thinking about, oh, what's for dinner? What's going to happen? You got to keep your mind in what's going on right now. And we're going to go ahead and stop it right there. But just a reminder, that was at 80 beats per minute. If you want to go faster, the faster you go, you're still going to think about that up, down. But the faster we go, the less strict it's going to be. The more flow you're going to have, up, down, up, down, up, down. Starting that slow is just to get your idea of the motion of the wrist. Once we get faster, it's not going to be up, down, up, down, up, down. No, it's going to be a lot more relaxed and a lot more fluid. Let's say I wanted to do this at 120. You know, like that one time we got up to 120 on warm-up. We're going to see how that goes. I'll do. So let me adjust this real quick. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. See, I'm trying to stay a little more strict, so it's actually causing me to slow down. Up, down, 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 up, down. It's a little more flow. There's a little more dead time at the bottom end, but we're still kind of relatively slow at 120. Let's say I wanted to go at, let's say around 180. Ooh, 180, pretty fast. Or even 200. Yeah, let's do 200. I'm not gonna go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I will never stay in time with the metronome, so I kind of have to just use the up, down motion as how the stick should start, but not actually stick there. It's gonna be a lot more legato. It's going to flow. I always try to relate it to like bouncing a basketball. Once you throw that basketball down, the ball will go bounce to the floor and come back up. You don't necessarily control every motion of the basketball. All right, and the same thing with the stick. That beat is kind of like the basketball. You have to throw it down, let it bounce back up. All right. Hope this video has been helpful for you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys again.